Yeah.
Your daughter is overdosing in the
Mhm.
alleys of Tijuana, and you are moving to Hawaii? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hate Spinnerbait, the podcast where we hate spinnerbait, but we love common sense gun control laws.
Yes, we do. Yes. A big up on it. Big up.
Big fans. I'm Michael Ann. It's been like 3 months. It's been 84 years since we last.
But I can still remember the smell of the fresh paint. Hi, everyone. It is I, Bethany. Last night I watched a thing about the Titanic, and I put in the group chat, I go, do you think James Cameron realizes that he is responsible for an entire generation of women's first hyperfixation? Because the Titanic is to women what the Roman Empire is to men. Basically, like, we just eat this shit up with a spoon.
Yep, 100%.
We love it. We love the Titanic.
But we're not going to go down into a game controller controlled submersible.
No.
Submersible.
Yeah. Submersible. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're not. I don't love it. And no, I'm keeping my feet on dry land. I will learn about it from the experts. I don't need to get up close and personal with it personally. That's just me.
Yep.
Before we get to some more serious matters, hi, yes, we're happy to be back recording in our normal zones. Everyone needs to see my sweatshirt because it's fantastic. Dr. Pepper, sponsor us. Dr. Pepper, we love you. So yes, wearing a cute sweatshirt. My sister got this for me for my birthday, so thank you to her. And Michael Ann has some fun little bits and bobs. She's been watching the OC, so we're going to discuss that briefly. But before we do anything, at the top of the episode, 2 things. One is important, one is slightly important, but definitely as not important as the first thing. Today we're going to be discussing chapters 4 and 5. Let's see if I can remember. Yes, 4 and 5 of Once and For All. Great book. Unfortunately, Sarah Dessen writes about a topic that is very, I think, an important topic because it is something that unfortunately a lot of Americans deal with way too regularly. But because Americans do deal with it way too regularly, of course, as we were discussing this book, a school shooting did just happen. So trigger warning. Obviously, if that is something that's a little bit hitting too close to home for you right now or ever, you don't have to listen to this episode. We will see you at Chaos once we're finished with this novel. I understand that this one can be a little tricky. And also, we just want to not just like sound like a politician because I don't believe in the whole thoughts and prayers bullshit. But obviously, Michael Ann and I lived for at least a good chunk of our lives in Florida. I am a big Gators fan. One of our biggest rivals is Florida State, but our hearts are with Florida State right now, obviously with what they just went through, this past week. So that just makes my heart very heavy and very sad. Obviously growing up in the state of Florida, everyone was, there was like the main universities everyone was applying to, your Floridas, your Florida States, USFs. So I know a lot of, people from my community that went there. And I know that they were all very, obviously very traumatized and upset with everything going on. So we just wanted to send some love their way, particularly because of what we are discussing in this book this week. And we'll be continuing to kind of discuss in this book moving forward. So trigger warning before we move any further with what we were discussing. Yes, I think that's about it. Obviously, we'll go into more thoughts probably about shootings and gun control and whatever as we read this book, because we will get riled up about it. So just to let you know that will be coming up, but blanketed trigger warning from here on out for Once and For All. It does come up occasionally. So yeah. Second thing, again, not remotely as important as that first thing, is just a friendly reminder, everyone, that we are on YouTube. That seems like such a weird thing to say after what I just discussed.
Yes.
Not as important, just to be clear. But just a friendly reminder, if you want to come see our faces and see our disgust at the fact that school shootings continue to happen here in America, you can come see us on YouTube. If you don't want to see our faces and want to continue listening to us, that's cool too. You can listen to podcasts wherever you find them available, Spotify, Apple, blah, blah, blah. With that said, because we are going to be discussing some heavy subject material in these chapters, and again, I just think it's, in the air, heavy material in life, because it's 2025, baby, and it's the world we live in. We're going to start this episode a little bit on a lighter, fluffier note, just because everyone needs a little light and fluffy in their life. And Mike Land is going to talk to us about the OC real quick.
Okay.
Segue.
Spoiler alerts for the OC.
Spoiler
this is a 20-year-old show, so I mean...
Yeah. If you haven't watched it yet, what are you waiting on? Go watch it.
What are you waiting on? Okay.
What are you waiting on?
So this is my first viewing. I started watching it because my nieces, shout out to my nieces, are watching it. And so they got me hooked. They got me back into it. Not back into it because I've never seen it. This is my first ever viewing. So
it's like crazy to me that you've never seen the OC, but I'm so excited for you that you've been on this journey.
Nope. Never seen it once. But I have some thoughts and feelings. My first feeling is that why is there always in early 2000s media and Riverdale, whatever Riverdale came out, 2010s.
2010s.
There's always a storyline with an adult and a child being in a romantic relationship, and like it's not mentioned as being like weird or like illegal.
Yeah, it's very much like, illegal. These people never like get in trouble for it, and it's weird to me. It's icky.
No, and then the poor kid who had sex with this adult, like the adult dumps him, obviously, because he's a child.
Yeah.
And he has like a full breakdown. This poor guy gets like shit-faced, drives his car into a pole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ends up having to move to Portland, cut from the show. No more Showtime.
That's so true. He is cut from the show.
Is snipped right out. They're like, fuck you. So that was enraging me for quite some time because I'm like, why are we always doing this? Like, it's so disturbing. We're making it way too normal. We need to like come out and say it.
Weird thing. Why were so many teen shows? Like, why was that always the storyline? I mean, I think the answer in general is because they're written by men in their 20s oftentimes. And men, like men, adult men are, well, these are like kind of adult men, young adult men, whatever, are gross, basically, is the long and short of it. But still, it's a weird thing that we decided to normalize in television. Very weird.
Yeah. And it's always a male child and a female perpetrator. And I feel like that makes a huge difference too, because as you said, it's like men being like,
it's like a weird fantasy of theirs. I 100% think that's what it is, because it's like kind of a thing in American Pie too, which I know obviously like that's a movie and not a TV show, but still like of that same time era, like of like, teenage whatever, and it's always like a guy with a girl. Like the only instance I can think of, and this is a little bit later in time, of it being girl with guy is in Pretty Little Liars.
I heard about this.
And that is also just, and like that is really weird because like they write this, like most of the time when they do this storyline, it's like a weird little thing that like some guy gets out of his system and the woman never gets in trouble for, which is wrong because again it's illegal. But in Pretty Little Liars, it's like they definitely wrote this wanting you to root for them as a couple. And I always found that very disturbing because I was like, he was a teacher. Like, so it's also, it was wrong on many levels, but I digress. Yeah. And I never understood this. I was like, this is being written. They might even end up together in the end. Don't quote me on that. I stopped watching. But I always found that very strange that like we were supposed to like we were supposed to root for them essentially, like the way it's written. Very weird. Very weird.
Hate that.
Yuck. Don't
hate
like
that
it.
A lot.
Hate that. Not a fan.
Um,
You're on season 2, right? Are you like, how far into season 2 are you?
So I'm on season 2. I'm still in the beginning.
Okay.
Marissa is queer now. She's dating
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah. This is another early aughts TV show thing that they like to do. They're like, we're just going to make our main girl queer in the second season. YOLO. And then they like drop it like a bad habit. Like, if you're going to do it, great. I'm all for it. Like, obviously, like, queer people exist. That's great representation. But they will do it for like a short run of a show. And then they're like, nah. And they just never bring it up again. Like, it didn't exist. And that drives me crazy.
Yes, it's going to be like a 4-episode arc. And then we're never going to see Alex again.
Yeah. Ever. And then you're like, all right, good riddance. So weird.
But let's talk about Marissa.
Yeah. Oh my God, please. I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on Marissa.
Let me just confirm something really quickly before I get going. Yes. Okay, so Marissa starts off the season with a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Goes to Mexico, overdoses. Okay. Passes out in an alley by herself in Tijuana, Mexico.
You got to say it like Seth does. I can't even do it now. He's like, Tijuana. Can't do it.
Oh my God. And then she continues to be a hot mess. And then at one point, she is oh my God. You know what? Actually, where am I even starting? There's so much. The class commentary in this is so crazy. Like, basically what I was trying to say, TLDR, Marissa is like, has every single rich girl bulimic stereotype, like, ever. Yeah. I'm not sure if she has an eating disorder yet, but I know Misha Barton did in real life because of this part. So
yeah, girl's going through it. She was going through it 100%.
And then if I remember this correctly, because I did watch this episode when it aired, she dies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then she dies. Yeah. Okay.
And then she dies. So she never, it's really, the whole Marissa of it all is truly really messed up. And I don't know why. Again, I feel like this is a thing of the early aughts TV shows where it was like, and I understand complex characters are interesting, but like their main character was always like sort of like they threw too much at them that it made them like unlikable or like like I don't, which is like unfair to say because like obviously like people that are really struggling through these things, you are not unlikable because you're struggling through these things. But Marissa's unlikable because she's just unlikable. Like she's just like an unlikable person, and they try to give you like these windows into her, and you're like, oh, well, you feel like, oh, you because you're like, okay, like she's a rich girl. What does she have that's wrong? And she's like, well, like she's got this and this and this. She's got family issues. She has, mental health issues. She has struggles with addiction, whatever. But it's like you can't even like care about it because she is just so like the way they write her. I don't know. Just Marissa is such an interesting her and the whole Ryan dynamic. Like sometimes I would root for them, but as I've rewatched the OC a couple times, and the older I get when I do my rewatches, the more I'm like, oh my God, y'all are so tough. Like, don't even like stop it right now. And I'm like, both of you like deserve better, like in your own different ways. Like, I don't know. And I feel like TV shows always like the side couples were better. Like, I think that Summer and Seth are so much more compelling characters, are so much more likable. Their relationship is more likable. And I feel like Gossip Girl struggled from the same thing. Like, I just feel like Blair, like, she was supposed to be like Serena was the golden girl and you're supposed to root for her. And I could not stand Serena. I watched the show for Blair. I don't know. Maybe I just like brunettes better. I'm not sure. But I always like, I just 100%. Yeah, I just tend to gravitate toward. And then Rachel Bilson like was with Hayden Christensen for a while. It's still wild to me. They have a child together. They're no longer together, but like what a great early aughts dream couple, honestly. And she dated Adam Brody. She dated Adam Brody and was with Hayden Christensen for a long time. Honestly, she was like living everyone's best life. Jealous of her. Anywho, good for her though. But yes. I also, as I get older, am like beginning to wonder a little bit about myself. I'm like, am I secretly a narcissist? I hope not, but I had the biggest crush on Seth Cohen. I mean, I still have the biggest crush on Seth Cohen. Like, absolutely loved him. And as I've gotten older, I realized that like I also identify with him a lot. Like, he's kind of a male version of me in a sense. And I was like, he was like one of my biggest crushes when I was younger. Am I a narcissist? But I think you can both relate to someone and find them endearing. We also are very, very different in certain ways. But yes, I just loved him. I love Seth. Sometimes Ryan was just too broody for me. I was like, we got it. I mean, honestly, Ryan really was dealt a shit hand in life, so I felt for him. But yeah, just like the parents' storylines were so crazy. And like, I forget how crazy they are sometimes. And like, when you've been talking to me about it, I'm like, oh yeah, all the stuff like with Caleb. And yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. The Ryan of it all was so funny to me. Like, I couldn't stop like almost laughing during season 1 because the actor really does like act like he has the weight of the world on him and he's like so wary. And I'm like, in that situation, he probably is like wary. You know what I mean? Like, he probably is like kind of bogged down like a kid like that would be. But it was just like so funny. It just seemed like all the time, like, oh my
He's
God.
just so serious all the time. I think Ryan's character, this is like a controversial hot take, y'all. This is a hot take, but let me tell you, I rewatched season 4 not too long ago. I want to say like maybe 3 years ago, because I feel like season 4 is like everyone's like least favorite season, mostly because they kill, again, spoiler alerts for a 20-year-old show, they kill Marissa at the end of season 3, right? So season 4, like, and that basically kills the show. Like, it lasts one more season because everyone was like, what the hell? And the show ends, obviously. Like, of course it was going to kill the show. But anywho, season 4, when it first aired, I was like, I don't know. And then I did a watch of the full show, like, I don't know, a few years later. And then I randomly was thinking about season 4, and I was like, I think we all judged season 4 a little harshly because we were just like bitter about the fact that like they'd killed off a main character, this and the other thing. I think some of Ryan's best work, like, he is the most likable maybe in season 4. Like, I think killing Marissa in a weird way was really good for his character. And I stand by that. Now that I'm a little older and I've rewatched season 4, I like season 4. And I know that is a very hot take in like the realm of the OC, but I'm telling y'all, if you have not revisited this show in a while, go back and watch season 4 and you'll realize that I'm right.
I'll let you know what I think when I get to season 4.
Yeah, sure. I think it's maybe Ryan's best season, truly.
Another thing that was killing me was Marissa's dad's storyline. So this man starts off the show by stealing the life savings of like all of his investors. He's like stolen all their money. He's like ruined lives. He gets like punched at a bar mitzvah. Not a bar mitzvah. What am I talking about? A coming out ball or something like that. Whatever like fucking rich white people do.
Ball, yeah.
Yeah. And so you're like, wow, this guy's kind of a piece of shit, huh? No, he's actually a hero of the show.
Yeah. And he's like one of the good guys.
So he like gets sued and they're like, okay, how do we keep you out of jail? They figure out how to keep him out of jail. And then Sandy is like, let's open a restaurant together. So, okay, so this man ruined lives opening a restaurant. And they can't open the restaurant because the liquor license keeps getting rejected by one of the men that he stole a bunch of money from. So much money that this man had to come out of retirement and go back to work. Okay. Yeah. So everybody's mad at this guy. Like, oh, I can't believe you wouldn't give us liquor license. And then, so all that drama happens. And then what happens? Fucking Caleb pays them like millions of dollars to buy the restaurant. Yeah. So now this man is a millionaire again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we're all just like, hell yeah. And then he moves
white collar crumb, baby.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Your daughter is overdosing in the
Mhm.
alleys of Tijuana,
Mhm.
and you are moving to Hawaii?
It's crazy, but true. This show, honestly, it's so crazy.
It's so good. Oh my god, I'm addicted. I can't wait to keep watching it tonight. Hold up, my computer came up on.
I'm so excited. It's so crazy. And you
It's so
forget how
crazy.
many things, like truly the OC when it came out, y'all. So it was one of those shows. This used to be a thing where when they were trying to push a new show sometimes and they were worried about the fall being too like competitive, because obviously that's when like TV seasons used to like it would run fall to spring, you know. So they used to push things sometimes in the summer because people were just so excited for something new, some new TV. And it was like the big Fox flashy show. And it was young and hot. You like, teenagers were gonna watch or whatever. Clearly we did. And so that's the basically from episode 1 to I think the Tijuana episode is like episode 7, episode 8 is like a little like was the first batch of episodes, and this came out in the summer and then had a little fall break, and then like late in fall came back. So like the Tijuana episode basically was like a little mid-season finale essentially. So like you had like a month in between Tijuana episode and like the Candy Striper episode is what I like to call it, when like Marissa's in the hospital and we know that she's okay or whatever. So yeah, they left you on like a little cliffhanger. But it was like the thing. Like season 1 of the OC was like insanely popular. And then season 2 was still pretty popular. And then again, because they just like threw so many things at the wall. In this show, people I think started to be like, what the hell is going on? And it unfortunately started tanking. And then I think they wanted to throw another thing at the wall, which was like, let's kill off one of the main characters, which they did. And then that ended up unfortunately kind of being its demise. But yeah, with that said, what a time to have witnessed it live. And also what a time season 4 was, and how like hated it was when it first came out, and how I again would just like to reiterate, I think it's actually pretty quality. I'm excited for you to get there, and I'm excited to hear other people say. If you have thoughts on season 4 of the OC, let me know, because I have thoughts about it is all.
Yes.
I have thoughts. Also, like a baby Chris Pratt is in this show, like before he went all, whatever, Jesus-y. And he's like really good in this show and like kind of funny, like in season 4. And now it's like kind of tainted because he's all like, Chris Pratt, but
yeah,
at the time it was lovable. It's like when you rewatch some episodes of Parks and Rec and you're like, oh, it doesn't hit the same because now I like don't like you. But I digress.
yeah. Speaking of, guys, I started my Luna Lovegood tattoo cover up. Let's see if I can
look how beautiful he
get you
is
in there. We got Frank.
This is one Frank. And only. Hi, Frank.
He hates turfs.
We love
and soon he's going to be flying around a castle-like building. There's going to be a window.
Yes. Okay.
So yes, that's Frank. The beginning. There he is.
How long did Frank take?
At all.
Yeah, no, I can't. I can't see any Luna anymore.
We started tattooing at noon and we were done by 2:30. So 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's
so not bad. It hurt like a bitch.
Yeah,
tattoos never hurt that bad for me in my life. I think it's because of the scar tissue from the previous tattoo. That's what I'm assuming.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
It was painful, y'all.
That seems a little difficult.
I feel like it's 23 minutes in. We should probably talk about the book.
Yes. You know who would never have, a teenager dating an adult and not make it creepy and wrong? Our girl, Sarah. Sarah wouldn't do us dirty like that. She was writing some good coming of age stories in the early aughts, and she was not doing weird, icky things. Or making you root for the white collar crime dude. Anywho, chapter 4. Let's dive in, shall we?
Let's shall. Okay. I remember loving these chapters, and I was like, I'm going to review the chapters before we record today. And then instead I sat on TikTok until 6:25.
And then I did it. My client had some really good text last week when she was reading it live. And I wish we could have had that energy, with her fresh off it to record. But I'm sorry, y'all, the horrors. But here we are. We're recording now, so it's good.
Okay, so chapter 4, they are Jilly. And what is it about Jilly that like annoys me? Why do
I
I feel
know.
annoyed by the
It's
name Jilly?
the name Jilly does rub me the wrong way. I'm so sorry to anyone who goes by Jilly, but something about it just rubs me the wrong way. I agree.
We must have both had some sort of traumatic experience with a
Yeah,
Jilly.
with a Jilly. I'm like, oh,
um,
Jilly.
so it's like last minute, right before graduation. Is this a flashback? No, no, no. It's a little bit before graduation, and Jilly is basically making our girl Luna shop for a new dress because Luna is like, I have plenty of dresses, but Jilly is like, no, you have to buy a new one. Blah, blah, blah. Um, at one point, Millie, that would be better. Jilly says,
No, would
we're
be.
making memories, remember? And this is when we see that a couple days earlier, they'd stood in line to pick up the yearbooks during lunch period. The books themselves were heavy and smelled of leather, with this year's theme embossed in big yellow letters across the cover, making memories. It was cheesy and ridiculous, which was why Jilly had claimed it as our summer rallying cry. No longer was it to do things and make stuff happen. It all had to be memorable as well. So she's feeling kind of like meh, whatever about it. The poor Jilly is babysitting her two twin sisters as well during this time. Their twin sisters are there literally hours before her high school graduation.
Yeah.
Insane. They are fighting over a game and they are not having any luck finding a dress for Luna. Wow, I just went through so many names in my head, including Sandy.
We have been informed that apparently the audiobook does pronounce this as Luna. So I feel good. We are apparently pronouncing her name right. So let's all just take a big sigh of relief. We got that.
Thank God for that.
Thank God for that.
So they're trying on dresses. There's one that makes her boobs look weird. There's an eggplant one. And then we find out a little bit about Bee's wedding. We find out that the wedding from the first chapters, Bee's mother's wedding, ended right after the honeymoon. Yeah. But Bee is so lovely, and her event had become your basic wedding planner nightmare. All these terrible things happened with the venue that caught on fire, and the caterer had a nervous breakdown, and all this terrible things. She says, the upshot, with 9 weeks to go, they now found themselves in the busiest part of the wedding season with no venue, no caterer, and the mother of the bride who was even more cynical about the process than they were. Third marriage really lasted no time at all, girl.
You know, I'm telling you.
In and out. What weird thing do you think you tried to do in the bedroom during the honeymoon?
Right.
That's my
that
question.
She was like, you know what? Actually being single is better.
She's like, you know what? I'm actually not into peeing on each other.
Yeah.
No kink shaming. No kink shaming.
Yeah, no kink shaming. We're here. We're not here to, you know, ick anyone's yum. You do you.
No. No, if that's your thing, good for you.
Good for you.
Good for you. You found your thing and good for you. Mm-hmm. So they're trying on dresses. Then all of a sudden the sales girl gasps really loud. They look over at her. What is it? She says, sorry, it was the news. There's been a shooting. This is when, oh my God. I don't know why I said this is when. I'm like having a physical reaction to this scene. So there's been a shooting. Luna is like, what kind of shooting? Even though she already knew. She said, I'm sorry, it's a school in California. They don't have any. And Jilly like cuts her off. She's like, come on, you don't need any dress. Let's just go. Let's just get out of here. Jilly is like getting out of here. I wrote Jesus Christ here for some reason, and I need to know why.
just cuz you're like Jesus Christ. School
I
shootings.
think that
real.
is what it is. I think I'm like, are we seriously doing this? So, because this is when I started to realize, oh, her boyfriend died in a school shooting.
I
That's what
told
this
you
is.
it was gonna be dark.
Yeah.
And you're like, how dark is this gonna get? And I was like, really dark. Very dark, in fact. Yeah. Yeah.
I just like told myself that like it was going to be another sexual assault, which also would have been terrible, but this
Also very
really
dark, yes.
really came out of left field for me. I was not expecting a school shooting.
Like a dark that I guess as weird as it sounds, I wouldn't have expected Sarah to delve into. Again, I understand why she did, because like unfortunately this is something that a lot of kids can relate to. Wow, that makes me really sad to say that. But yeah, this is something that is just part of our life. And again, most people I know we probably started elementary, middle school having to start doing drills, like active shooter drills, lockdown drills, whatever you want to call them. And obviously, people that are younger than us don't know a time when they didn't have to do them. And so, yeah, it's just unfortunately something that, like, obviously is the topic that a lot of people can relate to.
It's just something that happens in America, and you just have to kind of like move on. There's nothing we can do.
Nothing we could potentially do at all that other countries have done and have had success with. No.
You know what we do need to do is get those 15 trans kids in America out of sports. That's the problem.
That's what I found to be the problem. That's the danger.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
100. So they leave in a rush. She said.
Also, if anyone for a hot second comes at us in this book of all books and is like, don't make this political, fuck you.
Imagine.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're going to be a little political when we're discussing this novel. Sorry, not sorry.
I also don't think anybody who didn't agree with us politically would have made it this far.
Yeah, it's true. You wouldn't be listening to us right now, but just in my mind, I was like, some random comment's gonna be like, I don't know why you have to, and I'd be like, in the book about the school shooting, okay,
yeah,
but yeah,
okay. So she says, the sales girl was still focused on her computer, and I averted my eyes so I wouldn't see the screen, but I knew what was most likely there as well as to come. A long shot of a flat, nondescript building, maybe with a mascot on the side, people streaming outdoors, hands over their heads, the embraces of the survivors, mouths open, caught in wails we were lucky not to hear, and in the worst case, pictures of kids just like the ones in my own yearbook, lined up neatly, already ghosts. Chills reading this.
That's rough. That paragraph there I thought was very... I don't have words, because I was like, that is so sad but true. Like, not only does Luna, she's like, I don't have to know, like, I know what they're showing, but like, it's so true. Like, if you went like to did like a man on the street interview and was like, hey, describe to me how the news covers a school shooting, like, all of us would be able to do it. We've seen this like countless times. And the second she like is describing it, like, I could picture, like, I saw the footage that I have seen countless times on the news, and I was just like, yeah, shit, that's like far too real. That's depressing.
Yeah, this paragraph was like beautifully written and just really gets you deep in the feels. So she says by the time she got to her mom's office, she'd calmed down. Jilly had helped turning the radio up as loud as she could. She said, it was gorgeous out with a bright blue sky, and people were out on the sidewalks and in their cars, windows down, while elsewhere, someone's worst nightmare had only just become real. It seemed wrong, like there should have been a stain on the day or something. Oof.
Yeah. I have to say, love to Yeah. Which is so true. And like that's the thing. Yeah. It's like, which I mean, and not just in obviously like a school shooting situation, but like in any like grief situation, it's like
Yeah.
everyone else is just going on about their day, not knowing that like the worst possible thing that could ever happen. And actually I saw it, which was like some people are like, oh, this is insensitive, but I was like, no, it's like kind of what I think you have to do if you work in this line of work. I saw this post the other day, weirdly enough, that came up on my For You page, and it was an EMT just like sitting in the back of like, you know, the ambulance, like in the back of the bus and jamming out to like Taylor Swift. And it's like, here I am on the way to someone's like biggest traumatic event of their life. And it's like, yeah, like in a sense, like that is your job. Like all day, every day is going to someone's worst day. And you have to do things like jam out to Taylor Swift on the way to like keep yourself from going insane, like, you know, from completely just breaking down at like the heaviness of something like that. But yeah, I also just really love Jilly here. Like, I love that, like, she immediately was like, okay, we're leaving the store. You're right. You do have enough dresses. And like I just, this is a good, again, and true Sarah Dessen way, like a good friendship moment where she's like clearly knows, you know, that this is going to be triggering and upsetting for Luna and is trying to handle it as like on their graduation day, you know, like God, yeah, I don't know, it just sucks.
It does suck.
This doesn't suck.
Yep. Jilly is a really good friend here.
Yes.
Yeah, Jilly even offers to hang out for a little while when she drops her off into her mom's office, but she's like, she says here, all I have left to do is pick up Crawford's new glasses and then grab him from Taekwondo. She says, another pair of glasses? The kid got suspended this time. We'll see if it makes a difference. Although I found Crawford's monotone and awkwardness appealing, it made him a huge target for bullies at his school. Autistic people being targeted by bullies. Here it is. Plain as
targeted
day.
by bullies, but they'll never play baseball. Of all the sports, my dude, that you picked the most autistic sport. It's the most autistic sport. The sport that's all about statistics and superstition. And like seriously, like every player is like, I have to twirl my glove just this way, and then only if the sun is good. And on the fourth Friday, I'm good at bat. And it's like, yeah, but that's the one autistic kids aren't playing. Okay.
Yeah, no, autistic people can't function in society. I mean, look at us.
You know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's just so they sign him up for martial arts, but that hasn't really made much of a difference. He has to get new glasses all the time because kids keep breaking them, which is, you know what? Fuck those kids.
That's what I say. Yeah, it's not my sweet, sweet Crawford with his really cool name, as we established when we met him.
Yes. Just pick up a handful of sand, Crawford. Just chuck it right in their eyes.
Chuck it right at them. They deserve it.
And they'll wish they had glasses.
And also, again, poor Jilly. She's like, I just have to go run these last 2 errands before my high school graduation.
I know.
Jilly, no. I'm so sorry. I'm so sad for you.
It's awful.
Yeah. Terrible.
But she's like, it's fine. Like, go away. Go away. She's like, it's fine. I'll be okay. I'll see you at the amphitheater. We are saying, here's hoping Steve passes out and doesn't make it. And that is the kid that sits in between them in school. So she says, we'd long hoped this would happen for graduation, if only for the continuity of us being on the stage at the same time, making memories indeed. She was saying that he's between them unless he gets too stoned to remember to come to school. Stereotypes.
Gosh, Sarah. Again, as we've discussed before on this podcast, I don't know. Again, I have to assume that Sarah does know people that smoke weed. But the way she talks about weed sometimes is like, oh, stoners. And like she calls it pot. And I think that's a generational thing though, too. Yeah. But it's just very funny to me. Like they went to rehab for pot.
I know. So many teen books do that. Yeah. Like pot is what you go to rehab for. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could definitely become, anything can become a problem. Literally it's anything.
True. Yes.
Like, Oh yeah, I wrote cute with a little heart there because I love their little friendship.
Yes.
It's so cute.
Coming across the stage together. We love that.
Yes. So she goes into her mom's office. There was a dentist office on one side. Shout out.
Hey, love people. Yay, teeth, baby.
Teeth people represent.
In the house.
There's also a high-end stationery on the other side called RSVP, which she spends a lot of money on because she loves it.
Girl,
She says,
respect.
well, yes, life seems so much more manageable when you could write it down neatly on paper, which was probably exactly why I could only do it for a day or two and hadn't even tried in the last year. Relatable.
Girl, yes. I'm attempting to take off my sweatshirt and not ruin my audio or microphone. So wish me luck, everyone. Did I succeed?
You succeeded.
Woo! Okay.
Woo-hoo!
All right. I put a shirt on underneath because I had a feeling. I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it through the whole thing. But the people needed to see the sweatshirt. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Where were we?
Where were we? Yes, relatable because, like, obviously I have a million journals and a million planners that I have 2 wedding planners. I filled out like 1 page of one of them.
I feel that. I know when you like first get engaged, it's like really fun to get things like wedding planners and you're like, I'm going to use this for sure. And then you don't.
Nope. But, not at all.
It was a vibe.
I used Google Docs.
Yeah.
So she says, when I looked through these old, barely begun journals now, the events on the pages seemed too small to even fill the lines, that inconsequential. Thinking this, I had a flash of the salesgirl in her computer and felt a chill come over me. Poor girl. She's like triggered all over again. Day of her graduation.
Yes.
Fucked. William rushes up to her immediately. He's like, I saw what happened. I got a news alert. Like, are you okay? Do you need anything? But that's so sweet, by the way.
I know. I love William. I love
Me
the
too.
relationship that they like have with him. Like he definitely is like a family member, you know?
Yes, I love it. She's like, go back to your meeting. I just came to drop off the graduation tickets. She said she slid the invitations into her mom's purse and then went back out into the main room. And she hears B kind of mid-sentence. We're supposed to meet me a half hour ago, B was saying to her brother Ambrose, who had joined the group in my brief absence. Dressed in jeans, a short-sleeved blue button-down shirt, and tennis shoes, he looked freshly showered as if just beginning his day at this late hour. Our little weirdo. We got a little weirdo here.
Our little weirdo, Ambrose.
He like reminds me a lot of the love interest in the
it's gonna come to her. Everyone, give her a minute.
This lullaby.
Dexter?
This lullaby.
Yeah.
That's the one with the mom who writes romance novels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Then,
yes, I can see some Dexter in here for sure. They're kind of like messy, like don't take things too seriously. Like, yeah, I can see that.
Yes. She's like, it's no wonder you can't get a job if you're incapable of getting places on time. And he's like, my watch is broken. She's like, you have a phone and there are clocks. Very awkward silence after that. B is pissed. Ambrose doesn't care. Her mom says, so Luna, how does it feel to be almost free from compulsory education system? Everyone looked at me. I won't believe it until I flip my tassel. Liam is like, Luna's graduating high school tonight. He's very proud. And B is like, congratulations. I remember every minute of my commencement. And Ambrose says, me too. And she goes, you didn't graduate. If one of those it was one of those leave quietly and we won't expel you kind of situations. Classic Ambrose, which like,
Like, he
Wow.
didn't graduate high school? Okay, Ambrose.
Also, like, rude.
Yeah, like, I was like, way to just, like, put his, like, his
Life on
laundry,
blast.
like, on
Yeah.
blast. Gosh, B. Sure, he seems like he's being a little bit of a pain here, but, like, you don't need to be spilling his dirty secrets like that.
Mm-mm. And he's like, I was talking about yours. And it was never proven that I brought the cow in, if you'll recall. And I love that added little detail that Sarah throws in there. It's so funny because it's like, whoa, he didn't graduate? What the hell? And he's like, it's because of the cow. And I didn't bring the cow inside. So
just so we're all clear.
Just so we're all clear.
I'm not responsible for the cow.
Hilarious. So then B asks her where she's going. She's going to Rice Johnson, which I don't think is a school we've heard of in Destin novels before. This is a new one
for us. Yeah.
Love that. B, of course, went to DeFreeze. Duh. Obviously. William is like getting emotional. He's like, I feel like she just started kindergarten. Mom is like, pace yourself, William. Let's see. If my mom and William were one person, and it often felt like they were to me, she'd always been the head of and he the heart. Sure, they were equally cynical when it came to their business and the main concept that underscored it. But if she could joke or reason away anything that made her feel, it was often because William took it to heart. Twice as hard. She says, I loved my mom, but with just her, I might have never known what compassion looked like. Yikes.
I was like, oh, savage.
I know. It's like, damn.
You do need like one like parental figure in your life to kind of like be a little like over sentimental. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have the one, because if the other one isn't, then
yes, they balance each other out.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is good that me and Andrew aren't having kids, because there would be no one balancing out anybody. We'd both be a mess all the time. We just like cry looking at our dogs. I can't imagine if we had children.
Every little milestone, you're like, oh.
Yes. I would be like seriously breaking down. Another reality, perhaps. So yeah, so they are moving along the meeting. They're like, are the guest numbers still pretty firm? B is like 78 with wedding party. Have you sent invitation 4 weeks ago? It was obvious she sensed my mom's apprehension about this event and was eager to please her. She glances at William, who gives mom a smug look. Big weddings meant big money. And with B's fiance, Kevin Yu, from a family that owned a big pharmaceutical company, big attention. Personally, I wanted to know if she planned to change her name, switching from B Little to B U, but I've not found a way to work this into a meeting yet. Just look at the wedding invitation. No, it wouldn't say it on the wedding invitations.
Yeah, because it would still be her maiden name.
Yeah. Yep. So mom is like, she's like, do you really think we're going to find a place? Like, this is crazy. She says, William says, if there's a possibility of a magazine spread, yes, William replied over the sound of the mission. Oh, yes. During this whole conversation, what I love is that Ambrose in the background discovers William's fancy tape dispenser. So this whole conversation's going on, and all Ambrose is doing is just like clicking the button over and over again to like release tape. Everyone's ignoring him except for Luna, who's like, what the hell is going on here? And she just like weaves it into this like conversation about the wedding. Like, you can always make room. In the midst of all this, the machine started making a grinding noise, then a long squeak. We all looked at Ambrose, who reached out and hit the button again. And then they just continue the conversation. Mom is like, I just feel that you... And that was as far as she got before Ambrose picked up the dispenser again, trying to turn it off. When he couldn't, he stuck it under his lap under the table, where it continued to grind louder and louder until I heard a pop. Suddenly, there was a lot of tape on the floor at my feet, as well as a faint smell of smoke. So B loses her shit here. She's like, Ambrose! And he was like, I was just, and she's like, I don't care. You're always doing something, and it's never what you should be doing. And now mom's had enough, and I'm stuck with you. So fucking shut up and sit there and don't touch anything.
Every bride hits their limit, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
We've all been there.
At some point, the bride's going to be mean to somebody.
I'm sorry. It's just going to happen.
Oh, my God. And she says, out of habit, I glanced at William, who looked both horrified and thrilled by this development. B, cursing was wholly unexpected. And Mom's hardly phased. She's like, all I'm saying is that I think you need to keep your expectations in check. At this, B bursts into tears. Ambrose is like, it's a stressful thing, a wedding.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, get away from me. So she leaves, goes to the restroom. He's like, I'll get you a water. William's like, I'll get you a water, his favorite thing. She says he disappeared down the hallway with the bottle in hand, leaving me, my mom, and Ambrose alone. I looked down at the floor. Tape was everywhere.
Tape was everywhere.
Tape was everywhere.
It's such a good line. I don't know why, but it's such a good line. Oh.
It is. At this, Mom basically is like, you need to... It would be a huge help if you didn't drive your sister insane. And he's like, people never believe me when I tell them this. But I'm not trying to annoy her. She's just very sensitive. And her mother's like, you really think that's the issue? And he's like, always has been. Not a single moment of self-reflection here.
No.
Just like, yeah, of course. She's super sensitive. I just broke this man's expensive tape dispenser.
Yeah, but it's her.
It's her.
I'm like, Ambrose, buddy, look, I need you to look inside. Yeah, yes. A little self-reflection will go a long way here.
And then she says, I heard your mother sent you here because she was so frustrated with dealing with you. And he said, true, and I wrecked her car. But in my defense, she is also very sensitive. I think it's a genetic thing. And here I wrote, Ambrose is great. He's so funny. I almost just combined Taylor Swift and Sarah Dessen into one name. Tara.
Tara. I'm trying to think. Swesson. Tara Swesson.
Tara Swesson. That's wow. That's a name.
You? Tara Swesson.
But Sarah Dessen is so good at writing these like little bants. We love Sarah Dessen's bants.
Yes. A+, always quality bants. Always.
I also wrote here that Ambrose is a manic pixie Dessen boy.
Yes, he is.
100%. 100%. But Luna's like not necessarily charmed by him. She's like he's annoying, and then Mom is like, I heard B said you need a job, and he's like, that's what I'm told. And she's like, you're told? And he was like, it's actually more of an ultimatum. Apparently I am both annoying and expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This little cutie.
This guy.
So then Mom offers him a job, like, you work for me this summer and I'll take your wages off my fee, which your mother is paying. Luna's like, what? And like, but you actually have to work. I don't do annoying or expensive, and you show up on time. Is that clear? And he's like, absolutely. When do I start? And she's like, no. Pick up all this tape and then come find me for a coffee order. Oh, I love it. So Ambrose gets down on the floor there, and he starts picking up the tape one piece at a time, because of course. He saw me looking at him and gave me a cheerful thumbs up. Luna's like, are you crazy? Why did you hire him? Mom's like, it's our job to keep the brides calm and focused. I've seen B upset. The only time I've seen B upset has been because of Ambrose. This way she's out of her hair. She's like, no way. You've never hired anyone on the spot like that. Your background checks are rare. Your background check the rare person you do take on. There's no way you'd risk your name in your event just to keep someone busy. And she's like, I can't do a good deed. And Luna's like, you don't do good deeds. And she's like, okay, fine. I may have gotten a phone call earlier from Eve about how B was at her wit's end with her brother and asking if for an additional fee we could divert him somehow. And she's like, she's paying you to babysit him? She's like, no, he's working, or no deal. She's like, okay.
Which also, like, how rich are you if you're like, hey, I will pay you extra money for my daughter's already expensive wedding if you keep her brother out of, like, her hair, basically.
Yeah.
Can't relate, but, like, you do you, Bee's mom, you know?
Seriously. Yeah, so she's like, I'm not going to trust him to do anything, just like errands, physical labor, last minute details, coffee. And Luna's like, that's my job. And she's like, well, exactly. Now you get to enjoy your summer a little bit before college. And she said, I've already dealt with him enough to know I'd rather work alone than with that kind of help. And mom's like, you're welcome. Give him this money and standard coffee order and point him toward Jump Java. Then you're officially off duty. Which again, like, right,
she's
couple hours
graduating today.
I'm like, what is this? Is crazy. I don't
she wasn't even on duty. Like, she came to like stop by to like say hey and drop off tickets, and now you're like, oh hey, while you're here, take Ambrose to the Jump Java to make sure he doesn't f up our coffee order. Like, what the hell?
Also, what the hell time is this graduation at?
Yeah, seriously. Like, what time is it? I'm confused. I mean, obviously it's in the evening. Well, not obviously. Some graduations are during the day. It appears to be an evening graduation, but when? Is it starting at 9:00 tonight? Like, don't you have to go home and get ready? I don't know. Maybe that's
it's all
me.
crazy.
Yeah.
Luna's like, I really wanted to fight this, but the clock said 4:15, and I had a date to meet Jillian Line. Steve, bar off between us or not in 2 hours. Okay, so 6:15.
There we go. We answered our own question. We're like, what time does this start? A paragraph down would have given us the answer.
Literally. So she says, plus based on all I'd already seen of Ambrose Little, he wouldn't need me to sabotage him. He'd do it himself. Probably before I even flipped my tassel. She says, okay, it's your funeral, which I thought was kind of funny. She pushes open the door and it bangs against something hard on the other side, which she sees as she peeks around was Ambrose, who is still on the floor and most likely close enough to have heard everything. Oops. He's like, I think I got it all, he said now, not sounding offended the least. Man, that's some sticky tape. And she says, that's why we keep it in the dispenser. My mom wants coffee. I'm supposed to give you her order and point you there on the way out. This is like a super long chapter.
The next one is thankfully not as long to my recollection. Yeah, I think.
So she's like, great, he's easygoing. They go to the coffee place, and she's trying to explain the coffee order. Like, it might just seem like coffee, but nothing is just anything when it comes to my mother. That's the first thing you need to know. He says, she's a tough nut, is what you're saying. And she says, never call her that. Like, ever. He's like, I'm getting the sense you don't have a lot of confidence in me. And she's like, you're correct. And he's like, why? And she's like, okay, well, let's recap my experience with you so far. You delayed your mother's wedding. And he's like, which in retrospect might have been a good thing.
Fair.
Fair. She's like, you broke company property, you made a client cry. And he's like, I made my sister cry and I was not an employee. And she's like, do you always deflect anything that might make you accountable? And he says, for some reason, blame is often directed towards me. I have to be vigilant. She's like, for some reason? He is very, very annoying to her right at this moment. She's looking over to see one of the regulars of the coffee shop named Phone Lady, who talks really loud on her phone every week, which I would love. I said, I love this icon. I would love to go. I would go to that coffee shp all the time. Like, what's going on now, sis?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah, I want to know her. I'd just sit there and listen to her stories. I'd be like, it's time for my stories.
Yep, exactly. I'd be like, coffee, stories, perfect. She gives him their coffee orders. She thinks that he's not listening, but he is. And he's like, repeats it. And then he's like, plus 2 chocolate croissants warmed up. So they're nice and melty. She's like, I didn't say anything about croissants. And she's like, those are for us. She's like, I don't want a croissant. He's like, you seem a little crabby. It might help. Don't worry, it's on me, although I might have to borrow a couple bucks until payday. Later, I'd realized that his response pretty much summed up everything that made me nuts about Ambrose in one simple sentence. At the time, though, I just stood there, unable to respond. And then she gets a text message from Jilly. She's like, let's go. There's a party tonight at the A-Frame. It's like, I think we've been to the A-Frame before in previous books.
Maybe?
Dreamland, possibly?
Ooh, could be. Yes, because they definitely had some house parties in that one. Yeah. Yeah.
So Ambrose reads it over his shoulder and he's like, party at the A-Frame, huh? Where's that? And she's like, do you have any manners? So she small talks with the barista and then she leaves. He's like, have fun at graduation. The last comment was said in such a cheerful and easygoing tone, the absolute opposite of how I was feeling, that I felt my jaw clench again. How on earth could someone be so immune to basic social cues, so entirely oblivious to how annoying he was? He's a white boy.
Yeah.
From the suburbs.
Basically, yeah. Rich white boy.
So then she hears Phone Lady's voice again suddenly. She's talking about the shooting in California. 5 kids, they're saying 5. That's the most sense. And she shuts the door and she leaves. She shuts the door so hard it rattles. And she says, everyone's always in their own world when it's still an option.
Yep.
Yep. We have been recording for an hour.
Yes. Chapter 5 isn't that long, but I feel like it's kind of like, maybe it's longer than I thought, actually.
It's pretty
okay. It's pretty long. And it's kind of meaty. Like, I mean, there's like some like a good emotional weight to it. What should we do?
Should we do we'll just do chapter 5 next week?
We can, yeah.
And then since we're already at an hour and I'm getting real burnt out by editing recordings. Yeah. So
we can do chapter 5 next week instead of Chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll do chapter 5 next week to make up for the fact that we just had too much to discuss about the OC.
We had a lot to say. About the OC. Yes. It was very important. So
it was very important. And I will need weekly updates, honestly. Next week, you best believe we might be getting a little bit more to see where Michael lands at in the OC. Okay. Sorry. These chapters are... they're kind of long, but it's not even that. It's just like they're kind of meaty because obviously, again, this is where we're kind of getting the first glimpse of what Luna has been through. We know she has experienced something with an ex. She's kind of down on love, but we're kind of beginning to understand. So yes, obviously with the fact that this is something that is, kind of near and dear to, I think, unfortunately, too many people's hearts. Because it's a terrible thing that we have to apparently accept in America. We have to. So we will be back next week with chapter 5, kind of probably a little hybrid like we did this week. We might gap a little bit about pop culture because sometimes you just need to talk about light, fluffy things before we get into heavy things. And then we'll do chapter 5. So join us then. We're so happy to be back. Again, I feel like we haven't recorded in like 18 years. So yay, we're happy to be here and hope you all are enjoying. Take care of yourselves. Yes. Now more than ever.
Yes, please.
Please take care of yourselves. And yeah, we will chat real soon. See y'all next week.
Bye.